Welcome, everybody. We have a very special love-infused week on the Brain Warriors Way podcast. We have a very special guest.
I wore my special love shirt.
Love that.
So, yes.
But before we introduce Natalie, this is Zane here. Do you want to read it?
We have a testimonial. I'm so relieved and more than glad that I found a book by Dr. Amen that was on its way to the trash.
Oh, no.
I firmly believe that Daniel saved my life from laziness, unmotivated lifestyle, negative thinking, obesity, and maybe homelessness. Wow. Thanks for existing, Dr. Amen.
That's why we do what we do.
Love that.
To save you from the bad habits that will steal your life. So Natalie is our social media director, and
Yes.
Natalie's a graduate from USC, which has been in the news a lot recently.
Yes.
And one of my favorite people.
But we just adore her, and it was your idea actually to interview the two of us about love. And welcome to the Brain Warriors Way podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. We talk a lot about relationships at the clinic, emotional relationships, physical relationships, friendships. And I thought it would be awesome to talk to our viewers about how they can strengthen their relationships, not just with their partners, maybe with their family, and other people in their life. So let's get started. We wanted to break this podcast into 4 different episodes, and each episode we're going to be talking about a different type of love. So the first type of love we're going to be talking about is called EROS. And EROS is the Greek word for sensual or romantic love. So who better to talk about that than 2 happily married people, the Amens. Daniel had talked a little bit about this in his PBS special where you broke out the 4 different types of love. I thought it was so powerful. So let's get started. I wanted to talk a little bit to the Amens about what they do every day to stay connected. Physically, emotionally, if you have any type of rituals that you guys do together that you'd like to share with us. Let's get started.
I think we have a lot.
Yes, you do.
You want to start?
Well, I think we actually are, number one, conscious of it. So we actually talk
Which is
a lot.
the first most important thing.
Right. So we actually talk a lot about what kind of relationship we want to have. And then what do you have to do to have that kind of a relationship?
Right.
So we use our brains.
Right.
We actually program our brains to tell us what we want.
Right.
And when we first got together, and it was a rocky first year.
Yeah, I think it's important people know that.
Yeah. And it wasn't
Instantaneous.
It wasn't instantaneous chemistry, although totally it was for me. It just wasn't for her.
So wait. But you have to.
I want to explain
But I want to
the
explain them why.
concept of alchemy.
Right.
That we were very fond of each other.
Right.
And immediately.
Right.
We're very fond of each other. You made my heart go fast, like I just got shot with cocaine. And you didn't have the whole cocaine thing, but we were so fond of each other that one of our friends said, you don't need so much chemistry as you do alchemy.
Yes.
And that was a game
Huge.
changer.
It was.
For us.
And I need to explain something because I really liked you, but this is important for a lot of people watching since you brought this out. If you are coming into a new relationship with past trauma or past issues, I hate the word baggage, but past issues, it can really affect what you come into a new relationship or how you come into a new relationship. I had a lot of trauma, especially from a divorce I had just recently gone through. It was really difficult. And so with going through that, it really affected how I trusted myself. And so if I can't trust myself, I certainly wasn't going to trust you.
Right.
And so based on that, I thought, I'm never going through another divorce like that again. So I really had to be careful. I also didn't believe that someone like you really existed. So my template wasn't set
Yes.
for someone like him.
Right.
So I kept thinking, okay, no one's that nice. Honestly, no one's that nice.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't my experience.
Of course.
So I kept waiting for the other shoe to fall. So I actively decided I don't want to go into relationships with those beliefs because I know how negative they are.
Right.
And I went through a lot of therapy. And that was when it began to really shift into this idea of alchemy. And I think it's important for people to know that, because I think they sabotage their own happiness and relationships because they think it's got to be one way, but they're set up to sabotage it because of beliefs like, he must be manipulative because nobody's that nice.
Right. And
So-
I think, and
Well, and actually, what I tell people, I actually spent a lot of time this week with a number of my patients going, because they had really big trust issues.
Yeah.
And I said, and you're going to think this is terrible, but I absolutely believe it. All of us are out for ourselves. It's just the more sophisticated you are, the harder it is to tell.
Right.
And initially that makes people really upset, but it's like, just be honest and make sure your goals are aligned. So if we're all out for ourselves, I mean, I love you because I feel awesome when I love you because you love me back, that's okay. So you just want to make sure your goals are aligned. And then you have to tell your brain what you want.
Right.
And so we developed what is basically a little mission statement for our relationship. We want kind, caring, loving, supportive, passionate relationship with each other, even though we don't always feel like that.
Yeah. So, and one thing I tell my
But
daughter,
we always want it.
we have to let her ask questions. But one thing I always tell Chloe is that you'll be happiest in life if you think of love as an action rather than a feeling.
right.
So
I think, one of the things that Daniel has said a lot, and I think it's so important for our listeners, is that, coming up with somewhat of a mission statement, something that you live by every single day. So Daniel talks about this a lot, and I think it's very funny. But it's so accurate in so many different relationships. Is like, I may have a thought one day that, Tana's not listening to me or Daniel's not listening to me. And I initially, being charged, I want to act on that instead of kind of going back to, okay, but what do I want out of this relationship?
Right.
I want a loving, kind, relationship. And, the statement that I'm going to make now, is that going to reflect positively and get me what I want?
by the way,
No.
the same holds true for teenagers.
Yes. Yes.
Don't say everything you think is not going to get you what you want.
All right. So it starts by programming your brain. What do you want?
Right.
And then you ask yourself, I ask myself every day, does my behavior get me what I want? And that's not selfish, because what I want are good things
Right.
for my relationship with you, for my relationship with the people I get to work with,
Right.
with my kids, with our business. Does my behavior get me what I want? Therefore, I'm not driven by my urges or by what culture
Feelings
says I
and
should
thoughts
do.
and right.
I'm driven in a goal-directed way, which is the front third of your brain. You have to program your prefrontal cortex, and it will help you. And you also have to not hurt it, which gets people into so many problems.
Absolutely.
Because they have trouble there.
And I think, a lot of shifting towards social media, a lot on social media, we talk about self-love. And that's really huge right now. Is there anything that you do individually for yourselves, maybe independent of Daniel, that you live by?
Yes. So first of all, I want to talk about that self-love. I think there's a difference between self-centeredness and taking self-care.
Right.
So I really don't like some of the stuff on social media that really focuses on being self-centered, because that can be very destructive.
Right.
Especially in a relationship. But self-care, like, it's a joke between us. If I don't work out, he's like, you need to go work out, because I'm just not the same person, right? I'm happier.
Well, it's an antidepressant.
So for me, I use it as medicine, right? So doing things like that make you more grounded, more centered. I meditate. I have to do certain things that keep me. So I have to work a little harder and not letting the negative thoughts come in than he does. I always joke that he's got Mickey and Minnie in his head doing the waltz.
The rainbows
It's the happiest
too.
place
Yes.
on earth,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's just ridiculous. Like, nothing bad can happen.
Yes.
That's not my head. That's not my childhood. That wasn't my past. It's not my experience.
Right.
So I work a little harder at it. So, but it's still manageable. I just have to work at it.
Daniel, is there anything that you do? Any self?
Yeah, he wakes up.
Yeah, he wakes up happy.
I start every day with, today is going to be a great day.
Right.
And that way my mind finds why it's going to be a great day. I get to do this with both of you. So I do that. I end every day with what went well today. So I actually will say a prayer at night, and then I'll go, what went well? Just trying to find 3 things, because it sets my dreams up
Yep.
to be happier.
Right.
So where you bring your attention determines how you feel. And then I make coffee. I make her almond milk cappuccino in the
yes.
morning, and I do that purposefully because it's just a simple
It's an
act of love.
And he'll
and then
sometimes
we'll spend 10 minutes just sort of chatting.
yeah, we have
about
our
day.
little group meeting in the morning, our family meeting. But
Yes.
he'll often say to me, "Did I tell you I love you today?" I'm like, "You made my cappuccino."
Yeah.
Like it's to me like even if we get busy, it's those little things that sort of make a difference.
And, that kind of segments to my next question, but are there things that you two do daily that you have to, not that you have to do, but
they're rituals.
But they're rituals that you look forward to doing together. Maybe that's a walk. Maybe that's, meditating together. Maybe it's having your morning
It's
together.
the morning for sure. The morning time together. We try to eat dinner together, even though like he travels and sometimes we're not able to because of that.
Yeah.
But we try to eat dinner as a family every night when we can. Even if we have to order out because we got home so late.
Right.
We eat together. So
we will continue this in the next podcast. We want your relationships to be as loving as possible. It's so important. I always think the first part, know what you want, and then 2, be responsible for it. What is it I can do today? What is it you can do today to have a great relationship?
if you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're interested in coming to Amen Clinics, use the code PODCAST10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.